Books make you hope. Books make you dream. Books make you laugh. Books make you scream. This is the Books That Make You show, discussing books with authors and experts, unraveling the inner pages of all the books that help make us who we are.
Welcome to the Books That Make You show. I'm Desiree Duffy and your host, and we're talking about books that make you brave-ish. What happens when you feel like a failure? Are you pushing 50? And what happens if you want to move back into your parents' house and you find the need to start all over from scratch? Well, if you're like Lisa Niver, you start by taking one braveish step at a time. Now, each step in her life took her away from her old world and closer into her new world of travel writing. And these small hurdles along the way led to the challenge of trying 50 new things. I don't have enough fingers for that. I'm holding up my fingers as if 50, yeah, there you go, 5 times, before turning 50. And trust me, Lisa, you don't look a day over 40. So congratulations on that. You have dived into explore shipwrecks. You've gone swimming with sharks, bobsledding at 3Gs, and so much more. Lisa, thank you for being with us today. Welcome to the Books That Make You show.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Desiree. I'm so honored to be here. And can I just say that your graphic that you made about my book, your art is phenomenal. That is my first fan art. I'm so excited.
Oh, your first fan art. I love it. I love it. Yes, I attempt to capture the essence of book covers, but your book cover is so colorful and beautiful. I did not do it nearly justice.
You really did. I think I'm going to make that into a shirt or something. I'm very excited.
All right, all right. I'll send you a photo of it too, so you have it that way. Awesome.
Next
All right,
time I'll be wearing it.
there you go. There you go. Okay, this is going to be such a fun interview. Let's start. Let give us the groundwork here. Tell us the driving force behind your decision to write this memoir.
Thank you so much. So, Braveish, the subtitle is One Breakup, Six Continents, and Feeling Fearless After 50. And my divorce was definitely the catalyst for reinventing myself. Before my partner and I had gone traveling in Asia, we were gone almost 18 months. I had quit my job, sold my car, rented out my condo. So when I came back alone, when my relationship was, what do we say in COVID? A dumpster fire. It was a dumpster fire. I had to figure out what was I going to do next. And I had a lifelong issue with my eyes that I finally was properly diagnosed for. And my eye doctor, Dr. Alan Brodney, who's in my book, who's amazing, basically said to me, we've worked on your eyes. They work, but you're not used to it. So you have to go out and challenge yourself. And that's really how it started.
Now you share some real personal details. You already have, and that authenticity just shines through. And I think that's one of the core things that can make memoirs so wonderful and compelling, because we get to explore through some, pain and hardship, the struggles that you faced. What is it that makes you comfortable enough to open up like that?
It is challenging to write about, and I'm honored to hear that struck a chord with you, because there were definitely times when I was writing, I would sit at my desk and I would write basically until I was so completely nauseous that I was pretty sure I was going to throw up, and then I would lie on the floor. For me, I really relived all the stories, and there was more I wrote that everything didn't get in the book. It got too long, but it was very painful to write about. And there were a lot of times during the process that I definitely thought about quitting. I probably quit 800 million times, in honesty, but I never gave up. I would be like, wake up the next day. I was like, can I write one more page? And I'm like, I really don't think so. But I did. And so I'm glad to hear that it resonated.
Yeah, definitely resonates with me. As somebody who's on the other side of 50, and I know women, I have so many friends because we're all in that age range. there's so much going on, so many changes are happening. And when you compound just sometimes the physical, emotional, family changes, what you went through was especially poignant. Can you talk about some of these adventures that you had? Tell me what, for example, so you did 50 of them. um, can you tell us which one you feel was the most thrilling?
Yes. I just want to say one thing towards the turning 50 part that I find fascinating. So, for myself, going through menopause, a lot of my friends, empty nesters. For me, I felt this strong thing about 49 turning 50. But one of the most amazing things, because a lot of times we focus on we're getting older and what's it like, and no one talks about menopause and what's going on. And am I so hot? Could I really fry an egg on my chest? But the thing that was so shocking to me was when I was doing these 50 things, like you said, I met with different PR people. And a young woman I met with was 29 turning 30. And she said to me, "Oh, it's so inspiring to me." She's because I'm 29 turning 30 and I really thought my life was over. And so I'm so happy to hear that someone as old as you is still doing interesting things. And so I just like to say, like, all of us in this, empty nester reinvention, a gray divorce period, we think like, oh, we really need help. And I was like, we cannot forget about our 19 turning 20, 29 turning 30, 39 turning 40. Like, it's so much pressure on women to be a particular way and have it all figured out. And now I think with social media, that has been amped up a million degrees about other people's lives and how do other people's lives look.
And I just want to add to that, you're spot on. And I just want to pat that little PR person on the head and say, sweetie, you got a long way to go. But it's true. We have been told through various means in society that as we age, we become less and less valuable as women. And I'm with you, sister. We're here to change that because, here as Generation X, we'll go to the generations, right? We've often been pushed aside in so many ways. We were kind of pushed aside when the millennials were coming into their own. You work so hard and long at a job, and all of a sudden, you were replaced by a 35-year-old millennial at the age of 45. So I feel empowered at this age, probably more so than ever. So anybody who's at one of those transitional ages, like the woman you're speaking of and others, I don't know. I think it only gets better.
I agree. For me, it's definitely gotten way better. And back to your question, I think that some of the things you brought up, like when I was able to go, I went on a liveaboard. I went by myself. Obviously, I was with other people because it was a whole liveaboard. And so I was in Cuba, which was my dream to go there. I had sailed working on the cruise ships for years. I sailed basically around Cuba. And those were our destinations at the time. American ships couldn't go. And so I got to go to Cuba. It was my birthday. I was on a liveaboard. I was scuba diving. There were sharks. But the thing was, I was on the boat. It was me, 10 men from Mexico, and an Israeli paratrooper. And
Whoa.
I thought to myself, for my birthday, I wished for more men. I just wasn't specific enough. I did not want them all at once.
Oh, I got to ask, were there any kind of good looking? Was that a part of the?
They were such a charming group and so kind to me. And there was only one guy that was single, and we had a flirtation, but I was like, oh, this is a very small boat. If it doesn't go well, it could be a long 7 days. I had learned that from my cruise ship days. You don't have to pick carefully, but we had such a good time. It was a lovely crew. I said, what did I used to say about the trip? I didn't pick anything up except, my fork to eat. And, someone handed me my scuba gear. I didn't change any gear. We ate, we slept, we drank, we sat in the hot tub. It was amazing. So that was great adventure. And I think that's one of the funny things when people say solo travel. Like, I was alone, but I was not, I was with a group. I just didn't know them before.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, and that's the thing too, as a solo traveler, because I've done it before, and it is scary, but you meet people, you talk in ways that you just can't do if you're there with your significant other or even girlfriends and stuff. It's just you're not as approachable and you don't feel the need to approach others. So that's a really good point. So okay, that was a thrilling one of your 50 things. Was that also the one that scared you the most? Which one just the most terrifying for you?
For me, it's funny. People assume for the 50th one, I went skydiving, and people assume that that was the hardest, craziest. And there were reasons why that was very challenging. But the true hardest one for me was I went mountain biking in Lake Tahoe. And in fact, I'd had a bike accident as a child. I had many, many accidents as a child because of my eyes. I believed my whole life I was clumsy. I wasn't clumsy. I didn't see properly. And I was afraid to get back on the bike. And I had joked when I got invited. I had been at an advanced ski clinic in Kirkwood in Tahoe and invited to come back from ski season to bike season. And absolutely not. I refuse. I refuse. It's never happening. It's a terrible idea. And the woman that was in charge, Marcy, said to me, "What if I go with you? I'm also scared." And so I said, "Listen, even if you got an instructor that didn't mind crying, I'm still not coming." And over the months, we agreed to go. In fact, it took 2 instructors to get me on the mountain. But I did love it. It was great.
And that's so empowering too, just confronting your fears like that. And I got to imagine that was a moment as well with your new way of seeing things, seeing the world, to realize looking at your past that, oh, no, I wasn't clumsy, right? Yeah.
As a teacher, I worked with students before and after they were diagnosed with dyslexia, and you hear people say, "Oh my gosh, I'm not stupid. I it just don't. I didn't see it. I didn't take the input right. I can't spell. It's really hard for me." And that was a lot of how I felt. That I was good in school. I was good with books. I loved reading. I sat in the corner. I drew, but I wasn't athletic. I mean, can you imagine growing up in California? You cannot play tetherball at recess. People are like, "Who can't play tetherball?" I was like, "Well, that'd be me." Everybody plays tether. They're like, "This is the dead easiest sport, Lisa. Just hit the ball." I don't know where it is.
Oh yeah. I feel you. I feel you there too. And then here you are doing all of these very athletic things. Are there any on your list where you look back and you're just like, "Oh, I shouldn't have done that"? Anything? Any regrets?
I think most of my regrets have in my life have been about the things I never tried. I mean, I have a lot of funny stories. I have a lot of mistakes. I'm surprised that I said yes to so much stuff. It definitely felt like my life was improv. The improv game is you say yes and. And for the in the beginning, I said no to everything, and everyone had to convince me, like, "Isn't that the point of your project?" I was like, "Well, I feel that you're using my words against me, and I don't like that." But uh, I more have goals and hopes. Like there's more places I want to go. There's places I want to go back to. There were times, certainly, I regretted staying in my relationship that inspired all of this, and I really had to read a lot. There's a great book called Super Survivors that talks a lot about when you're driving. It's very hard, if not impossible, to drive forward if you're only looking in the rear view mirror.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but I feel very proud of the list. When we were writing the book, I had a lot of help and a lot of rounds of edits, and I was like, "Does this book hold together? And is this a good thing to put here?" And it was quite a writing challenge, and it was a living challenge. I mean, when I first started doing it, I was just doing it because I was turning 50, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, what have I done with my life? How did I get here? How did I have one more dumpster fire?" Because I had worked on the cruise ships until September 11th, and then I reinvented. The cruise industry, the whole travel industry suffered and changed. So many people had tragedies. I mean, I lost my job. That's not a tragedy. That's an unfortunate inconvenience. But, still I, again, had nowhere to live and no job. A lot of times people lose their job, but they have their same house or their same relationship. When everything's tied together, I feel like it takes a little more climbing out of the hole.
Yeah. Now, that leads me to wanting to talk to you about resilience. You say that people learn resilience, it's not necessarily something within us. Can you talk about that?
I think that's really important to remember that most of us are braver and stronger and more talented than we notice for ourselves. It's something that was particularly obvious to me dealing with my eyes, that I didn't have a great vision of myself. I tried to convince one of my friends that I wasn't athletic. This was after I'd worked on my eyes and I was doing all the challenges. And she said to me, "You're not athletic?" And I said, "No." She said, "Tell me what you did on your last 3 trips." I said, "Well, I went scuba diving, I went skiing, and I went hiking." And she said, "What do athletes do?" And I was like, "Not those things. That's not what athletes do." So, some of us have this basic ability to misunderstand ourselves. And, it often makes me think of the movie The Princess Bride, when he keeps saying, "Inconceivable." And the other guy says, "I don't really think that means what you think it means." We have these ideas. Like, I have this idea I'm not an athlete because I think that athletes are, track stars and I don't run. So I think the part of resilience is in that same way, is starting very small and thinking, what am I good at? And what do I do? And I think there's great exercises where you ask a few friends, what are 3 qualities you admire about me? Or what are 3 adjectives you would say about me, to kind of reconfigure that. And the other thing I always tell people about, whether you're starting 50 challenges or you want to go traveling around the world, is start really small. You can inspire resilience with small acts, like asking one friend out to lunch. Or I always tell people, I interviewed Lisa Niver. She's a neuroscientist. She has many, many famous books. But I interviewed her and we were talking about the brain. And she was saying, you need to do new things. Literally, if you drive home on a different street, it helps your brain and it opens your eyes. You're like, oh, who knew that restaurant was on my way home?
Really great advice. And I love the idea of taking those small steps because, yeah, we can feel overwhelmed and then we get paralysis by analysis because there's just too many choices, too many things to try to pick from. I'm curious because you have this moment or your life before working on the cruise ship, your divorce, etc. And now we're on the other side. Can you tell us now, looking back, how's your life changed?
How has my life changed? Well, it's pretty unrecognizable. I There was a time when I was first living in my condo, which I did love, and teaching at a school that I loved. I loved teaching. I was teaching science. I mean, there's been so many transitions. There was a time I thought I was going to be a doctor. I was in medical school, and then I decided I was going to be a teacher. Then I thought I was going to be a teacher forever and live in that condo forever. And then I fell in love and I went on adventures. Then I came back and I was like, oh no, what am I going to do now? And the being a journalist happened very organically when I stopped teaching. At the time, I was teaching all the students in all the grade levels in my school, and they expected to see me the next year. Not like, when you're in first grade, you get a new teacher in second grade. You have the science teacher over and over and over. And the kids were really sad. What do you mean you're leaving us? They took it really personal and personally. And so I started a newsletter and I was sharing my adventures, and I really wasn't sure that anybody cared. Does anybody care that we were in Mongolia or that we were in China? And parents started writing to me. My child's really looking forward to this. She loves hearing about your adventures. Tell us more about finding the dinosaur bones. And that was what started my website.
I love how that just kind of grew organically from what you were doing. You were doing this and you were sharing. And it always touches me when young people are inspired. Do you have any other tips or advice for somebody who's just starting out on their writing journey? How about tips for other would-be wannabe writers?
Yes. I think, again, the most important thing is to start, but I always tell people, start small and start for free. A lot of people come to me and they say they're going to be a travel writer just like me. And I say, that is terrific. And then they tell me they're going to buy a logo and a website and hosting for the website, and they have not written one thing. So I tell people start as small as you can. You could start writing on Facebook. You can write long posts on Facebook, on Tumblr. I'm not sure anymore if Weebly and Wix are still free or Squarespace, but you can start very small. And I tell people, pick the day of your birthday. So my birthday is the 18th. So every month on the 18th, publish an article. And once you're publishing once a month, maybe go to once a week, maybe twice a month. People say to me, I'm going to publish every single day. And I tell them, listen, no one is that interesting. Really. Just start with once a month. Do something regularly and then grow it. And people ask me, do I have to be on every social platform? No, be on one, be on two. And then people say to me, I need different content on every platform, and TikTok and Instagram, on Facebook. I'm like, do you? They're like, yeah, it'll really upset my audience. I said, first of all, you have no audience, so they won't be upset. In the beginning, that's the benefit of starting small. No one's reading what you wrote. I was terrible in the beginning. You just have to keep going. That's how you get better. I put the same content on every platform, and if people are upset to see the same post twice, they can unfollow me. That's all I've got. My team is not big enough for this is on this and this is on this. Don't make yourself crazy. Oh, and my best advice is remember this. The people that mind don't matter, and the people that matter don't mind.
Excellent advice. I think you're channeling Dr. Seuss there.
He's very wise.
Very. And you're right. I understand. I see lots of authors who feel they have to be all things to all people on all platforms. And it's like, focus. Be where you want to be too. If Instagram is your thing, go rock it out. That's a very visual platform. If you are more on the chatting side, but small sound bites, head on over to Twitter, X, or whatever they're calling themselves nowadays. Go where you feel comfortable and where your audience might be hanging out. And you're right. Don't worry about creating absolutely positively new content. Spread it out there. There's that old adage too in advertising. When people see something 7 times, after 7 times, it clicks. So don't worry so much about being a little bit redundant. Chances are they might have scrolled past it on Instagram, but then they pick it up when they see your newsletter. Okay. And I want to touch on too, Lisa, we came together because of you promoting this book, because you are going to be speaking at the Book Fest, of which Books That Make You presents. There it is. And you then in turn were so nice and kind and invited me to contribute to your article. I just want to talk a little bit about us, not just us, but us as human beings, being nice and doing reciprocation, and maybe not doing it with any kind of hidden agendas. Thoughts on that?
When I was teaching, I used to always tell my students, it's more important to be kind than smart. I mean, it'd be better to be both. But if you have to pick, invite that person into your small group or sit it with you at lunch. And that is more important. It's important how we are to each other as humans. And, when I first was searching for how to promote my book as an author, I'm in a marketing group, and a lot of the people that I've worked with, publicity people, promotion people, have helped me for my articles. And I was trying to decide was I going to hire someone to help me with publicity, and I decided to interview a bunch of people and get what are the best practices, and possibly maybe I would hire them. Anyway, I started this with my group, and I put out a prompt, and I had so many responses. I actually wrote a 3-part series on authors and book promotion, and you were so kind to share about BookFest. And that, there's this huge virtual event that you created in response to when things really shut down at the very beginning of COVID. And I think that it's so important to be kind and network and share. Like We Said Go Travel is my website. I now syndicate into Google News and MSN. And with that platform, I could really reach different people about book promotion. It's been confusing for me, and I am a journalist. So I just tried to use my best skills and see what could we do. And, so one person was like, you should have events. I'm like, oh, what event could I be at? And then I was like, oh, book fest. Do you need a moderator? Do you need an author? A live chat? Can I participate? And you were like, okay.
Exactly. Well, I have to say, your book, the hook that was there, your energy, we ended up doing a casual little Zoom chat and it was just like, boom. So I appreciate you for that. And I just have to speak to when you're an author, especially when you're starting out, sometimes it is so confusing. What should you be doing and how should you be doing it? Giving a little bit up front sometimes without necessarily having that checklist of what have you done for me lately can take you a lot farther. And I appreciate you being part of the Book Fest. That is coming up October 21st and 22nd. You're going to be there for the live author chats, which happens Saturday night, the 21st. So we look forward to hearing that chat. And there we go. It's braveish. Can you tell us, Lisa? Okay, people need to have your details. Where can they find out more about you online? Give us that website, social media, how to subscribe to your newsletter.
Perfect. So I have several places. I have a website, lisaniver.com, and on there has all the press for the book. It has its own braveish page about the book, and all my social media is Lisa Niver, and Niver's like diver. And I also run the website We Said Go Travel, and people can find me everywhere. My newsletter subscriptions on both of those websites, and my YouTube. It's very exciting news. I'm very close to 2 million views.
Whoa, that's phenomenal. Congratulations on that. Excellent. Lisa Niver, just like Diver. I love that. Thank you so much for being with us today on the Books That Make You show.
Oh my goodness, this has been such a delight to talk about books with you. I love books, and I'm so honored to have my book with Post Hill Press. Simon Schuster's doing the distribution, so you could find it at Target, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Bookshop. But my favorite thing to recommend to people is call your favorite local bookstore and order my book to pick up in the store. Because when you go in the store, you never know what other treasures you'll find.
Excellent advice. I love that advice. Another little hot tip is you can call your local library and ask them to order it. Then the library will order it, and then your book will be there for other people to check out over and over again. So you instigate this moment where people are sharing that book over and over again.
I love that because actually at one time when I was working on the cruise ship, I had library cards in 4 states.
Nice. That's 4 libraries right there.
I love the library.
Absolutely. Lisa Niver, thank you so much for being with us today on the Books That Make You show. Appreciate it so much.
Thank you.
And thank you, everybody. You can find out more about us on our website. It's booksthatmakeyou.com. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, as well. Sign up for our Webby Award-winning newsletter. We're on YouTube. So if you're listening right now and you didn't see Lisa just hold up her beautiful book cover, make sure you hop on over to YouTube. Check us out there and make sure that you join us next time for all of this bookish fun here on the Books That Make You show.
The host and executive producer of the Books That Make You show is Desiree Duffy. Sound mastering and engineering by Dave Napox. Social media and content promotion by Siddhi Jahagirdar. Copywriting and editing by Mike Robinson. The Books That Make You show is an award-winning podcast produced by Black Chateau Enterprises.